So welcome to another edition of the DJ Force 10 podcast. I'm very happy to bring you this guest. It's a brand new signing to FiXT. This is Izzy Reign. Welcome, Izzy.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely my pleasure. Glad to have you on the show. I've been listening to your tracks that you've released for a little while now, and it's quite nice to actually have put a face to it and actually speak to the person that has made these tracks. Um, but we'll talk about those in a moment. But first off, how are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. I'm good. My voice is holding out, which is good. It's been cracking up a little bit recently, so
Uh,
been good so far. But I've got my tea and everything, so we should
nice.
be good on that front. Um, but yeah, what I'd like to do is just start off with a bit of an origin story of Izzy Reign, really. Just sort of, where you sort of came from, to where you are now, really.
Oh man. Well, uh, I'll try to not take it back super far. I have been doing music for like over half my life at this point. Band after band after band. But I got to a certain point to where I realized that there was a specific style of music that I wanted to pursue. And although it is nice to have band members and everything, I kind of wanted to have a little bit more control and like have my own mind be placed into it. So I started working with the producers and writers, Nick Matskos and John Eberhard. They're decently well known. They worked with a lot of really awesome artists. But yeah, I started. What is this back in like 20? I want to say 2019 or so. We started doing the Izzy Reign stuff. Um, but yeah, we've just been sitting and writing with each other pretty much since then, and it was pretty slow takeoff for a little while, but weirdly enough, I want to say in like 2020 or 2021 or something, I had a cover of This Is Halloween
Yes.
that I did, and TikTok did its magic, and out of nowhere, like a year after I had made it, it blew up. So I don't know. Because of that, though, my following grew immensely, and it's been on the same ride pretty much since then, and I've had a lot more opportunities presented to me, which I'm extremely grateful for, because without that, I mean, who knows?
Yeah, it's a funny thing, TikTok. Like you can put something up and basically it just sort of it can just sort of happen when it
Yeah.
comes to like viral sort of attract. Like I've had little bits here and there that I put up like months ago, and then suddenly it's suddenly just got like 10,000 views of it
Hmm.
for some reason that I didn't do anything to do that. But
Yeah.
it's a funny algorithm, that one. But no, I caught that. This is Halloween cover you did. That was very cool. And obviously, where you are now, we're at obviously 2024. You released a
Hmm.
track last year, um, called Broken by Design. I think that was the one that FiXT caught you on as well.
Yep.
And yeah, that was a fantastic track to sort of like introduce yourself to this part of the musical world, if you will, because like one of my passions is that kind of electronic rock metal crossover, and that's
Hmm.
fixed because that's what they specialize in.
Yeah.
Long running sort of relationship with them, having obviously the guests on the show, and I used to have a radio show. I used to play their tracks, all that kind of stuff. But you recently released a new track, which we'll talk about now, which is the Sunken Place.
Hmm.
So tell us a little bit about that one. Obviously it's out now for anyone that wants to go listen to it, but yeah.
Yeah. Well, to kind of sum it up, just for anything now and the future, basically every single song that I have on this upcoming album, which will pretty much almost every song will be posted like once a month,
Yeah.
until till there's none left. This one in particular, they all are an individual story about um parts of myself that I find either negative or toxic or something that I am unhappy with, where I see as like a not great quality or something that, I've personally had to deal with. Um, this one in particular is an interesting one, actually. Um, Lyrically, the song is supposed to be, this is just on a personal level. So I like to write things on like different like point of views. This one is just more or less a inward perspective of knowing. knowing how to be the manipulator, but doing it strictly because I didn't have any other choice. I had to like figure out how to control situations growing up,
Yep.
and like being in not great situations, you had to, it's like your defense mechanism. You like had to figure out your best solution to like make sure that you're going to be all right. So in my way, it's not like a negative thing. It's actually more of like a sad story. However, the way I wrote it from, weirdly enough, the perspective of the mom from the movie Get Out,
Okay.
um, which is super weird. So I wrote it more in the malicious type aspect.
Yeah.
And so it seems a lot more like a scary or creepy or angry, almost. Obviously for my brain that's not where the song originated from, but I wanted to take it from that perspective, and show that's what manipulation actually is, and how people crave that control over people. And my it's just a motive that people will have, even if it doesn't seem like it's harmful. I just kind of wanted to like put that into like a different perspective, I guess.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I mean, I can see that. I mean, like, when you are young, you do have to put yourself, you don't know. I mean, you don't know how long term it's going to be, especially with like when
yeah,
manipulation side of things. But we,
yeah,
as kids, we all do it to get the what we want, and that's kind of how it forms from, really, isn't it? And it sort of follows you into your teenage years, and then into maybe your 20s, and then suddenly you might get some pushback at some point.
oh
Um,
yeah. Yeah, it definitely, like, I absolutely agree that definitely is a lot of people like, where it stems from. My own personal thing is not so much of like a, it's something that I don't like. It's like a quality that I don't like about myself that came from, not to get into crazy detail, but like, say a really negative situation. Say, let's just, random example, people are super drunk and you don't want people to drive, so you have to manipulate the situation to convince them that it's not a good idea. You know what I mean? Like, so it's a good motive, but it's still a lot of situations that I had to figure out how to learn people and learn situations to change the outcome. However, the disadvantage of that for me is not realizing that I've become so good at convincing people of things that I do it naturally, and I don't, it's really difficult to tell sometimes for me if people's opinions or answers that they're giving me based off of something is truly what they believe or what I convince them to believe throughout the conversation.
yeah.
So I never know. And I would like honest opinions on things, but sometimes I'm like not purposefully trying to convince them that I'm right about something. So that's the negative part for me.
Well, yeah. I mean, I know, but yeah, I mean, I know people that are like that, and they need that kind of like feedback that it comes without barriers, if that makes sense. Obviously, not too sort of like straight down and cut you sort of thing, but
Yeah.
that kind of like honest feedback where I ask that of everyone as well. Like I like my kids, my wife, my family, or my friends. It's like, do you like this? Do you not? And
Hmm.
being that kind of creative soul, it's that kind of like, are they going to hurt? Going to hurt. But I've been through the sort of like ringer of like media critics and things
Yeah.
like that in the past. So, I've gone from getting exquisite scores on some things and then getting a really damning, like,
Hmm.
personal attack from another thing, or it felt like a personal attack. Uh,
Yeah.
but then after a while, you kind of separate yourself out from that. But yeah, no, I can see where you're going with that one. So
Yeah. Like it's a weird one.
yeah, no, it's cool. It's nice. It's a nice subject though, for in that from that perspective as well. To put in song form. So I mean, it's a killer track. Everyone should go listen
Well, thank
to
you.
it. But
It's definitely a weird vibe, but all the songs
yes,
are very different, so I'm
I was gonna
excited.
say, obviously, if you've got a different sort of like story for each song. Obviously, I know FiXT sort of release schedule where it is kind of one a month, uh,
Hmm.
leading up to compilation of said tracks to an album or EP, depending on what you're gonna do. I'm assuming you're doing an album, just because.
Yep, got a whole album tracked out already, so they're
Okay,
ready to
cool,
get put out back to back.
nice. Is it all recorded, ready to go?
Hmm.
Oh, nice. You can just kind of sit back and just create the content.
Yeah, yes. We crammed it all together in a very short time, but we ended up making some really awesome stuff. So I'm super stoked about it. We actually filmed two music videos for a couple of the songs already too, so very excited.
Fully prepared as well because I've met like so I've spoken to a few artists that have come from the more traditional background of sort of record labels that release like three, four concentration cap like tracks, then the album, and then with FiXT because I've watched them over the years sort of just constantly release every week there is content coming out from that label,
Hmm.
and it's fantastic because obviously from a consumer point of view it's great because you're getting something new every week. Obviously,
Yeah,
attention span wise, that's what it's playing to. It's like purely because if you're not there, you're not there. That's the thing now. Whereas, like, there's very few albums that are allowed to kind of, or songs that are allowed to breathe, if you will.
yeah,
So
yeah. I agree. That's honestly, that's probably from my personal experiences, that is the most grateful thing. And the one of the number one reasons, not the number one reason, but one of the biggest reasons to sign with FiXT was that I have been working with the same people, so Nick and John, for these past couple of years. However, to be able to afford, song after song after song is so expensive on my own, and I haven't been able to, put all of that stuff out back to back. So all of the songs have been so gapped out, and it's so hard to retain people's attention. And I get it. I'm the same way. Like I can, it's if you got more than two paragraphs, I'm probably gonna stop reading. You know what I mean? Like, but I get it. but but the fact that I was able to take the super helpful funding from them and put it all in and block out like an entire month and a half to like put out an entire album, it's a game changer for me. So now I'm absolutely prepared and able to like have stuff put out every month, and hopefully the traction keeps going and people keep paying attention and it builds from that point on.
I'm sure they will. I mean, the two tracks I've heard so far are great. Like in the current sort of climate of music as well, I feel it fits very much into what's happening right now.
Mm-hmm.
You sort of like groups over here that are doing not on the like not monthly, but they're doing like more regular releases, and it's like kind of that multi-genre style. They're all taking their own sort of like spin on thing, and it's like that kind of like
Mm-hmm.
resurgence of new metal and everything as well that's happening. That has always been a good sort of melting pot of genres. From
Mm-hmm.
rap, like hip hop side, and the metal side was the main sort of part of that. But obviously there was a sort of there was an electronic side to it. There was more of a funk side to it. We know there was multiple genres, all in the one. It became that new metal thing, and that seems to be coming back round again, which is great for me.
Mm-hmm.
I love new metal. Love new so, um, and seeing these new bands like yourself doing your own spin on that sort of style. Not saying necessarily you are new metal, but you've got that kind of like feeling to it.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
and it's great. It's great. I mean, I'm sure it will do. I mean, with you've got everything, all the music sorted, so you're not chasing anything, which is great. It's just sort of keeping the content alive and getting it to people's ears and faces. So
Yeah.
it's all help you do.
Yeah.
Because I've seen them in action for many years, and it's just like a little machine that just keeps going, keeps churning out like quality output, which is great. Which is like after a while, some places can just put out a lot of sort of stagnant stuff, but FiXT is always something different. Whether it's a remix, whether it's, one of Clayton's many personas, uh, um, or anything like that. And obviously with them signing yourself, signing the Browning, and Fight the Fade, who have all been recently been on the show. It's all very different as well. So it's all that crossover, but it's all very different. You've got the Browning, which are probably the heaviest band on that label, like obscenely heavy.
Yeah.
You got Fight the Fade kind of pushing that kind of like that more new metal side of things, or hard rock new metal. And you got yourself as well with this kind of like punk infused kind of like
Hmm.
very I don't know, like poppy-esque Bad Omens kind of thing going on.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean it's fantastic. And how did um how did the relationship with Fix come about exactly? Like obviously they found your demo, but was there anything prior to that?
Um, weirdly, not really. So I actually found out about them before they had come to me because of a couple people on TikTok that I had come across. not anything to even do with FiXT. I came across um Daedric because I think she posted a cover of This Is Halloween, and I was like, oh, that's cool. Like, let me check it out. And I seen like her version with I think her name's Lyric Noel. So I checked it out, and then I added her, and she was on my TikTok, and then I came across Young Medicine, who's also on FiXT, and they did a Halloween cover of like the Somebody's Watching Me song, and it's like I call it Phil Collins core. I love them. They're amazing. But I was like, this is super sick. I love this song and I love this cover. So I started following them, and sure enough, I seen like Daedric posted just signed to FiXT, and then I noticed they were on FiXT, and then like a week or two later, one of the A&Rs reached out to me and was like, "Hey, really love this song. We're with this label," and I was like, "I just figured out who you guys were. Like that's so random." So that's pretty much the only form of backstory I have with them. But yeah, once they reached out, I just started talking to them, and the things that they pursue are things that I absolutely want to be involved in. I would kill to have a song in a video game or a movie. Like that would be ideally my dream. So or like on the League of Legends playlist, stuff like like that. So yeah, when I seen like that's like their specialty is sync licensing, and like they were talking to me about it, I'm like, oh yeah, absolutely, let's go. So
Yeah.
yeah, we started forming a solid relationship.
Excellent, excellent. I like it when it happens like just by coincidence, and it just sort of ticks around and suddenly you're there. But yeah, I mean they're good like for again, I keep praising FiXT, but they're good for that as well. Good for the sort of sync side of things of getting their tracks in random places, be it some wrestling event, be it a video game, be it a
Mm-hmm.
movie trailer, anything like that. They're always popping up everywhere, which is good.
Yeah, which yeah, they're good with consistency. I'll definitely give them that.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. So, what are your obviously the plan for the album? That's sort of priority one, I suppose, on that front. But what about things like playing live, touring? Obviously, it's a if you're on your own, then it's kind of bit more. Well, it can be easy if you can travel with that kind of like
Yeah.
computer-based system, which a couple of the fixed artists I've seen a couple of the UK based, well, or the ones that were UK based. I don't think they're on fixed anymore. But LeBrock, who are kind of like the sort of synth, like Phil Collins core, I think
Yeah.
he does sum them up. And they're a two-piece guitarist, singer, and they had a laptop doing the rest, and it sounded fantastic. Absolutely, I was blown away because I've used electronics in music before, and it's very difficult to get that balance with live musicianship and synthetic, if you will.
hmm
But what's your plan? What's your sort of like thought process behind that side?
Um, well, first and foremost, as far as playing shows, so I've done the whole playing shows and touring stuff for a very long time, and I am at the point to where I am going to absolutely wait it out until my following is one big enough that I know for sure it's going to be absolutely worth my time financially. And two, I have a lot of gear. I still need to acquire and still need to get, which again is financial everything. Um, and my game plan is to hire on a touring band because like my music, especially this album, all of the songs are such a wide range. Some of them are way more like heavy guitar, like actual instrument, everything, and some of them barely any. You know what I mean? It's borderline just electronic music. So you to be able to do all of that live, I'm going to need a live band, and I'm gonna have to hire people on, which I do have some people that are already super stoked and willing to do it. I don't have anybody absolutely set in stone, but it's totally fine right now because it's probably not going to be, if anything, until like October. And if it works out by then we'll see. But I'll have to figure that out in the next couple months.
That's fair. That's fair. I mean, you could, if you don't like it, you can say that too. Like, I know Clayton hates touring.
Yeah,
Because I know he played a couple of shows over here and I missed it when he was over here. It was many years ago, but try to convince him to get back and play
yeah.
something, but no, it's not working.
Yeah, trust
Um,
me. I'd love to, but it's just I got to make sure that I'm being wise on how I'm going about it.
Totally. I totally get that. I was recently in a position of doing the same sort of thing, and financially couldn't make it work. Because it means time off. It means someone needs to look after, kids, dogs, family,
Mhm.
whatever. And yeah, it's it's a big undertaking if you don't have that kind
Yeah.
of freedom, or you don't have that, almost not guaranteed following, but that kind of like, guarantee of going out there to play to someone. Uh,
Yeah. Yep.
and making it worth the organizers worthwhile, making it your worthwhile, making it the fans worthwhile as well, and
Hmm.
sort of going from there. But so obviously you can't probably tell me much about the album, unless there's. I was going to ask if there are any sort of like, collaborations on the album, or anything like that you've got coming up. If you could.
So as of this moment, no, there are not any collaborations or anything. All of the songs that are written are strictly myself. There were some conversations about potentially remixing some songs with collaborating with a couple people. I don't know what I can say, so I probably won't.
Okay.
um, but yeah, that's pretty much it. Everything is it's just myself right now. And I'm still I try to do at least one Halloween cover a year ever since that. So I am currently still deciding on what that'll be and if I want to see if I will collaborate with someone this year. So we're still in talks with that. That's not a for sure set thing, but it is probably the only thing I can think about.
Okay, fair enough, fair enough. I'm actually myself. I'm doing a Halloween cover this year.
Nice.
I was going to do it last year, but I kind of fell into some like just like personal health issues. I got bad back basically, but it kind of stopped me like being more proactive with it. But this year I got basically I had permission granted from the said artists and stuff. So but yeah, I was going to release it for like a kids charity kind of thing if it raised any money, because I wasn't interested.
Nice.
Wanted to make this track or remake this track. But it's not a very well-known Halloween song unless you were a kid watching Disney probably about 10 years ago.
Oh, okay, that's fair. Yeah, I'm
Um,
like 10 years. What?
yeah, no, I have to think about that. I don't know how old you are. I'm not gonna ask. But yeah, I mean it's actually I could talk about it. It's called Dance Like It's Halloween. It's by this band that used to be on Disney Junior called Imagination Movers. And they're still a band. Basically, they were independent from Disney. They got bought in, did a couple of seasons, and then they still do this live thing. They play like the New Orleans Jazz Festival and all that around there because they're from that area. So they got this track called Dance Like It's Halloween. And when I first heard it many years ago, I thought that makes such a good like rocked up metal track kind of thing.
Hmm.
So anyway, last year I started putting it together, and I got about halfway through, and I've kind of put bits on it here and there, but I'm hopefully going to get it ready in about a month or so, so I can plan out like a mini October release for it or something. So
Nice. Yeah, absolutely.
which is cool.
I've started making the Izzy Reign Halloween playlist. So as soon as it's out, I'll add it. Just let me
Oh,
know.
okay, cool. Yeah, it'll be nice. Thanks. Um, but yeah, what would your like sort of dream collaboration be? Like, not just with FiXT, but we can be with FiXT if you'd like. But who would you love to work with in this sort of like current sort of scene?
Oh man, that's a difficult one. Whew, there are some I'm biased because it's like there's artists that I just personally love. And then I got to think about like the context in which would work, you know? Um, man, that's incredibly difficult. I, I guess I don't really know. Like this last song actually was very inspired by one of my all-time favorite well, it's not even so much my all-time favorite, but they are the reason I started doing music was Enter Shikari.
Okay, nice.
Yeah, so I did want to kind of lean a little bit into their style for the last song that just came out, if just a smidge. But I would kill to have a collaboration with them. That would be absolutely wild. Just because knowing that they're the reason that I started pursuing like the alternative style music in the first place. I was like 15 and seeing They're Sorry You're Not a Winner music video, and I was like, this is what I want to do. So yeah, that definitely would be a big one for me. Other than that, there are so many incredible artists in the scene. I like, and it's weird because I the music that I create is, it's not just like metalcore, like it's such a wide variety. So like somebody like Starset would make sense, or something that is, or Kim Dracula would be super cool. Like I would love that. Like they're entirely weird, and I love every single second of it. So,
Excellent.
but
Cool.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Enter Shikari, I love those guys. I've known, well, I've known them. I have known of them for ages. I've spoken to
Mhm.
Rao a few times. But back when I was in a band back in late 90s, early 2000s, they opened for us in their first London show. Which is mad to think about now because I've seen them on arena stages.
That's
And
crazy.
it's crazy watching them rise over the last sort of like 15, 20 years. It's been crazy just sort of
Hmm.
seeing where they are now, and their albums they're putting out are still good.
I know. It's incredible. Can't believe it.
Yeah, it's crazy, but yeah, fantastic band. Um, cool. Well, I've got a couple of questions left for you, if that's all right, and we can
Yeah.
get on with the rest of your day. Um, yeah, because you're like 6 hours behind me, aren't you? So you got the rest of the day.
Yeah, it's 2:30 here. That's all that it is.
Okay. Oh, that's not too bad. Well, what I want to find out, you've already answered one part of this already, but I want to find out the three most pivotal albums or songs, if you prefer, that kind of like inspired you to become a musician, or when you heard, like you already said with the Enter Shikari track, you heard that when you were 15, you go, that's what I want.
Hmm.
But are there any other like, any other like band songs, artists that kind of inspired you, um, like, who wanted to be a singer, wanted to create music in general, anything like that, or inspired you to do something completely different?
Yeah. Well, so in this scene specifically, yeah, that was the first like song or music video that inspired me to do that. However, I've been like trying to pursue music since I was like a kid. And my mom used to have this like karaoke machine with like tape decks in it. And she had Alanis Morissette, which she played on repeat. So I, of course, was like, this is so much fun. I love this. And I started learning all the Alanis Morissette songs. And, honestly, if it wasn't for that, I would never even have started singing or trying to pursue anything. Cause then followed that with like a keyboard or like, like a guitar. And then like it kind of just built off from that. So that definitely is probably the first thing that started anything music wise for me. Which she's still kicking ass, which is crazy. I love that. Um, but I this a lot of the artists and the reasons I do music usually aren't necessarily pertaining to the style that I do it. And my number one favorite artist in the entire world is Imogen Heap. Like she is 12 out of 10 phenomenal at everything she does. She's a genius. And I respect her on such an insane level of like her writing style and how she comes up with things and the way that she creates. And then on top of that, like the gloves, the MIDI gloves that she made, and it's just absolutely wild. So she's insanely inspiring to see. For me, it's not only just like this incredible individual artist who's like doing their own thing, but it's also like she's a female producer who's been pushing her own stuff for God knows how long, and she's still incredible. There's never been a bad thing she's ever been put out. So
Yeah.
for me, it's very inspiring, and I'm glued to anything she makes. So
No, definitely. I mean, that's surprised. Like that, she is phenomenal. I remember the MIDI gloves. Was that with the Connect, the Microsoft Connect thing she did?
yeah, it's just
Yeah.
absolutely wild. As soon as I seen that, I was like, what?
Yeah. No, I
That's
was the
so
same.
cool.
I was like watching that thinking, what the, how? My head couldn't
I
get
love
around
it.
it. And because I had the Connect in the house. So, it's like kind of that could be like engineered to do this. Oh,
Yeah.
that's crazy. But yeah, no, fantastic choice. That one. So is that your three? Alanis Morissette and Shikari, Imogen Heap.
Yeah, I'd probably say that sums it up pretty pretty good.
But Alanis Morissette, yeah, I mean that Jagged Little Pill album was, I think it's like the kind of Frampton Comes to Life. Everyone has a
Hmm.
should have. It's that.
Yeah,
Um,
it's yeah. She's like a her vocals are what they are, and obviously like not in context of like alternative style necessarily, but she is indeed a power vocalist. Like she's got incredible vocals, and so right out the gate, that's the style I started doing, and up until recently, with this album, was the first time that I stopped trying to just be like the power vocalist, to and be in the metalcore that's just a strong woman, and I'm like, that's really cool and it works for a lot of people, but I'm so tired of myself because it's been me in every band that I've been in. So I've been trying to take step back and like use the like diversity and styles and music because, it's just I'm glad that she is what she is, and I'm glad without her and like learning to do the type of vocals that she does, I would not be anywhere where I am right now.
it's fair. That is fair. Yeah. Yeah, I can't understate how good she is live as well. Like she is phenomenal live. Um,
Yeah.
um, but yeah, no, three fantastic, so nice and diverse choices as well. I like that.
Hmm.
Um, but finally, what are your hobbies away from music? So when you're not doing Izzy Rain music, or anything like that, what do you kind of do?
Oh man. If it's not mine, it's someone else's. I pretty much all I do is music related stuff. I play video games, but it's all very music based. Like I even as far as work goes, I will bartend occasionally, but not like anything more than like once a month. But that's it. It's just all music, writing and creating and I started dabbling a little bit into being a little bit more um self-sufficient when it comes to like a fully product song to be created on my own from start to finish without having to like go through Nick or John, which I still would regardless because they're 12 out of 10, they're amazing, but I wanted to make sure that I was fully capable of doing it on my own. So I've been like learning, and I've been having some of my friends kind of volunteer to be my guinea pigs and like putting out music for them, and even if nothing happens with it, that's okay for me. It's a learning experience. So yeah, it's literally all music all the time. That's all I do.
It's fair enough. So what are you learning at the moment when it comes to sort of like the music production side? What's your sort of like thing at the moment you're trying to kind of get your head around?
So I kind of started, I work with Cubase. That's the DAW of choice for me. I don't know, I kind of took everything a little bit at a time and I'm growing as much as possible, whether it's vocal engineering, because I can write. I'm very confident in writing skills and like all of that, which I've done forever, but it's like the final polishing. I think the thing that I'm working on the most right now that I wasn't the best at is the mixing and mastering of songs. So I will do all of it. We'll sit down, write, I'll track the vocals, edit, do all of everything, do all the production and writing. And then my least best thing right now definitely is the mixing and mastering, but I'm working on it. So hopefully
Yeah,
that it gets there.
yeah, that's fair. I mean, that's just something you've got to train your ear for.
Yeah.
Which is obviously it's like learning an instrument, really. It's just, but it's
Yeah.
I agree. It's that one thing where it does, and you are constantly learning when you're doing it as well. Even if you think you've mastered it, there is still you're still learning because there's
Yeah.
musicians, different takes, different, all that kind of,
Hmm.
the variables are infinite. But yeah, no, I mean that's fantastic. And Cubase, I've not used Cubase for a long time. I actually learned originally in college on Cubase on an Atari. Um,
Nice.
on Atari Falcon, and it was yeah, it was like green screen Cubase basically. But here we are today. I mean, I use Ableton, Logic. I can't even think what else I've got installed on this thing here, but I've got a whole bunch of them that I use for various different things and stuff. And I'm
Yeah.
still learning. All these years later, I'm still learning.
Yeah. Ableton is definitely a very user friendly. Like if I had to recommend something for people who are trying to learn quickly or like to write, it's probably the easiest thing in my personal opinion to learn. Uh, the transition from Logic to Cubase is pretty simple. There's like certain things that are a little different, the key commands, all that stuff. But yeah, the I prefer Cubase because I feel that it is like once you know what you're doing, it is the most efficient and best way to finish a song. Like the finished product is way better in Cubase than it is in anything else, in my personal opinion. I mean, Pro Tools is cool, but I've never dabbled in that, so I have zero experience. Cubase is my Pro Tools, so
Yeah, I mean, I was tempted to go back to Cubase at some point because it's the one that I feel it's been around the longest when it comes to like digital workstations.
yeah.
But yeah, it's just, because of where I work and stuff, I get Logic for free basically. So I've just sort of been using that, and it's been a good version. It's saved me buying Cubase basically.
Yeah. Yeah,
Uh,
it's still a good one. Trust me, I know it.
Ableton I've been using for years since like version 5 or 6 or something. So
Hmm.
and it's just something I'm native to on that front. But yeah, no, it's always good. Like Cubase is a fantastic tool for anyone learning. And there's Reaper as well, which is the free one, which is all right.
Hmm.
That does the job. But it's the plugins as well. I won't go into that.
Yeah, yeah,
That is a completely different conversation.
yeah.
But Izzy, thank you very much for your time. Everyone go listen to the tracks you got out right now. You've got Broken by Design and The Sunken Place. They're out now via FiXT on all the digital platforms everywhere. It will lead up to an album and various other things as well. I'm sure there'll be merch, t-shirts, CD, all the
Yeah, yeah, a whole lot coming. And in actually, I haven't announced it yet. But that's okay. It's totally fine. I'm allowed to say it. I do have one song coming out. I think I want to say it's the 26th, with the music video. I'm very stoked about. So yeah, this month. I'm excited.
excellent. So people look out for that. Go once the pre-save kicks up.
Yep.
Um, you can just save it. Obviously, if you're gonna obviously the fixed will premiere the video and everything like that. So
Hmm.
yeah, follow Izzy Reign on all the socials. Is it at Izzy Reign? It is, isn't it?
For the most part, yeah, on pretty much anything. If it's not that, it's like I underscore music or something. But yeah, you'll find it under Izzy.
Find it. It's a unique name. People will find it. But yeah, go do all that. Listen to music. And Izzy, thank you very much for your time. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you too. I appreciate it.
Bye bye.
Have a good one.